Hi. Howdy,
Howdy.
everybody. Hi, Colton.
Hi.
We are going to get back into this lovely book that we are working through. Um, my favorite Hebrew grammar? No. But a Hebrew grammar nonetheless. It's heavy, but we're working through it. Are you following along? Kinda.
Kinda.
So this is again Biblical Hebrew 101. We want to thank our patrons, of whom Colton is a long-term, long-standing patron, and he's over here with us. That's
The
lovely.
first, might I add.
Indeed. So we are looking at the Hiphil. This is one of the seven most common binyanim. What does it mean, most common? It means that there are other binyanim, but they don't occur with as high a frequency as the seven we're going to cover. And we're just going to look passingly at them. The Hiphil generally takes on a causative sense when a root finds expression in the kal. So in the kal, if you say achal, he ate, then the Hiphil is he'echil, means he made him eat, or he fed him. Like you give food to your dog, atam ma'achil et hakelev, you feed the dog. Met, he died, so hemit is the same root, mut, and it's hifil, meaning he put to death, he caused him to die. It can also be he killed him. All right, so we're going to look at the forms of the hifil after we go through these basic meanings. These are from the book. So the hifil can also be a factative sense. I don't know what factative means, but that's what the book says. What is factative? Probably from Latin factum or facere, meaning make. Factative, like you make something take on a quality.
Yep.
Yeah, you make someone a captain, you make something. So if gadel is grew, then higdil is to make grow, to make it bigger. And rachav is it was wide, and irchiv is he expanded, he made it wider. He made it wider. Okay. Hifil as denominative, that means it takes a noun, onoma, and takes from the noun, de onoma, from the noun, nomen in Latin, name or noun. Ozen means ear, and hezin means listened, like you give ear. What's another example of this? Wow, I can't. Nothing comes to mind, but there are other examples, obviously. Yes. And then as declarative, that is like if someone is righteous, tzaddik. To say that someone is righteous is la tzaddik. It's dik. He justified. He declared him righteous. Okay. Habinyanim. These are the seven that we're going to cover in detail. So we've got the kal or the pa'al. They're the same thing, kal and pa'al. We have the pl, which we looked at last week. Then we have the hifil. These are our three active binyanim. They're passives. If we go straight across the menorah, let me get my pen. The passive of the kal is the nifal, generally. There's a cat called passive, but we're not going to look through it. Pl, passive is pual. Hifil, passive is hufal. And then the hitpa'el sits in the middle because it doesn't have a passive stem that goes with it. Rather, it's normally some kind of reflexive.
It's middle. It's middle voice. Yeah.
Middle voice.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's middle because it's in the middle.
Yeah. Nifal. Nifal is a medial passive, so it can function as either because of the call passive falling out, right? And then PL, Hithpael, and Pual are on the scale. And then Hifil and Hofal.
What do you mean by the kal passive falling out? We did have a passive tense, a passive voice for the kal, and it was more common in the past. It finds expression in the Bible in just a few verbs, and we'll cover them later.
But yeah. Sorry.
So the kal is
where we were. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. So kal is the basic stem, right? And then nifal is its passive. Nifal means you insert a nun before it, and then it changes the vowel pattern. Pl, we know that this has dagesh in the middle, and pu'al will also have dagesh, and hitpa'el also has dagesh. These three have dagesh in the middle, which is why we don't like to use the root pei ayin lamed, because the ayin rejects the dagesh and you can't see it in the pattern, in the name. Hiphil is where we are now, and its passive is hufal. We will get to these passive later on. We're not covering them yet. And hitpa'el. Okay, so this is what we would like to, how we would like to denominate them. This is the traditional denomination, traditional name. Why do we prefer using the katal root? Because all of the letters are strong. So katal is the real pattern that we want to see. Hitel is the real pattern, the PL, and hiktil. So here we see that doubled tet that we can't see when it's ayin, because ayin rejects it. Okay? So these are, we're going to say katal, kitel, and hiktil as our patterns. And then when we look at them, this is the pattern of the hiphil. That is that it's a hey, like we see hey. There's an e underneath it. Then that's a closed syllable with the shva nach, shva, silent shva. And then the second and third root letters have e between them. So this is what we have going on here. That's the basic pattern for strong letters that don't change, not weak letters. Okay, so hifil, because the root is pei ayin lamed, so we say hif like this, il, hifil. It's the same pattern that can be placed on any root. The problem is, we talked already about what happens when you have weak letters. So let's think about this. These were the endings that I gave you for the kal, the past tense in the kal. We say past tense, the katal, the perfect. So you say shamar. Shamar, we'll put here, we'll say shamar, shamarti, shamarta, shamart, shamar, shamra. Okay, shamra from shamara. Okay, shamarnu, shmartem, shmarten, shamru, shamru. And these are the persons that reflect these suffixes. Okay, this should be review. I hope you understand this already. What the interesting thing is that, so this is the kal, okay, katal like shamal, katal, katalti, katalta, katalt, katal, katla, katalnu, taltem, talten, and katlu. Okay, what we saw in the PL, that was exactly the same endings: t, ta, nothing, a, nu, tem, ten, and u. They're all the same endings. So this is what makes Hebrew verbs easier, because even when we go into the hiphil, we're going to have the same endings: t, ta, nothing, a, nu, tem, ten, and u. The endings are exactly the same. So this is the pattern. Hiktil is the hiphil pattern. Hiktalti, hiktalta, hiktalt, hiktil with the e inside of it, hiktila. In the hiphil, these two forms did not lose their stress. We said that shamaru lost its word stress and it became shamaru, shamaru, shamru. But in the hiphil, this word stress remains where it was historically. So hiktil, hiktila, hiktilu. The stress remains in the hiphil. It's the only one that holds on to that word stress, the hiphil. Okay, hiktalnu, hiktaltem, hiktalten, iktilu. This is the pattern that everything wants to follow, but because of weak all of these letters cause problems. We talked about the word shalach, meaning he sent. Shalach I sent, shalachti, you sent, shalachta, shalacht, you sent if I'm speaking to a woman. Shalach, shalcha, she sent. Shalachnu, we sent. Shlachtem, shlachten, and shalchu, they sent. Right? It looks, if you didn't have vowel points, it looks exactly the same in the PL. So the PL would be shilach or shileach. Shilach or shileach. If we have the A vowel, then this would have furtive patach. Shileach, shilach. Shilachti, shilachta, shilacht, shilach, shilcha. Now this means sent away. The kal means I sent. The PL means I sent away or I let go. I let them go. Like Moses says to Pharaoh, let my people go. He says, shalach, shalach et ami. Let my people go. Send my people away. Shilachnu, we sent them away. Shilachtem, shilachten, and shilchu. Okay, so this is PL. First one is kal. How do I know it PL? Because the middle radical is doubled, and because the first syllable is closed with E. That's the normal pattern for PL. Now in the Hiphil, the normal pattern is a hey in the beginning that's got a closed syllable. In the past, it's hish, or hil, or hich, or whatever. And in the future, it's yach, or tach, tash. Okay, there. So it can be either e or here. Hishlachti. I sent someone on him. I sicked him. Sick the dog on him. Hishlachti. Hishlachta. Hishlacht. Hishliach. Hishlicha. Hishlachnu. Hishlachtem. Hishlachten. Hishlichu. Okay, by now, I hope that you're starting to feel the pattern. Are there any questions that I might address at this point in the live chat? Because this is, you know, I won't say it's not advanced. This is basic grammar, but the repetition of the things is kind of difficult. Colton, do you have a good grasp on the Hiphil?
I think so. You tell me. You probably read with me more than most people. So
that is true. For the most part, our purpose in studying biblical Hebrew is to recognize rather than to form. So at least that was our purpose when I was, in school studying Hebrew. It would be nice if people could form the words, but it's really important that you at least see that you have the root, and on the front of it you have a hey. That's a pretty good indication that it's Hiphil. Right? What else could hey appear on? It could be in the nifal, it could be in the hitpael, the hufal, but most of the time, if you have a hey in front of it, pretty clear that it's Hiphil, if it's a verb. Okay, so another strong root is the root bet dalet lamed. Oh, trying to erase it. Bet dalet lamed. This is expressed in Genesis chapter 1, right? This is, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, blah, blah, blah. And God caused a division between the waters that were above the firmament from the waters below the firmament, to cause a division, to separate. This is the Hiphil of this verb, hivdil, hivdil. So if we've got the bet dalet lamed, we put the hey in front of it. We've got hivdil, hivdil. That's hifil, hivdil. Okay. So now we go through it. We say hivdil, hivdalti. I separated. I made a distinction. Hivdalta, hivdalt, hivdil, hivdila, hivdalnu, hivdaltem, hivdalten, and hivdilu. Okay, the participle. In all the participles outside of the kal and nifal, there was a mem prefix in all of them. In the PL, pual, Hiphil, hufal, and the hitpael, all of them have a mem prefix in participles. All of them. So that's fun. The kal was just like kotel, kotel. And the nifal is the participle nik. Kal, you'll get the pattern later. But in the Hiphil, it is maktil. Maktil. So we've got mavdil, mavdila, mavdilim, mavdilot. Okay, we're going to look at a lot of examples. Okay, so this is from the word katan or katon, which means small. So hiktanti means you make something small.
I'm only seeing the presentation with the charts on it that you'd made.
What are you not seeing?
Are you writing are you writing mavdil?
I am.
Can't see that. I just see one that's with katal on it.
Here, I'll show you a screenshot of what I'm looking at. I'll send it to you on Discord, I guess. Look at this. I wonder what everyone else sees.
No, I'm telling you what's on the screen.
I'm sending you my screen.
I know, but I'm telling you what's on the screen that you're projecting.
So I'm going to kill the presentation and start again. We're on the word katon. Okay, so I'm going to kill this. Stop presenting. I'm very sorry. Like on my screen, it is definitely. Do you see what I sent you on Discord?
I can look. Yep, no, that is not what I was seeing. It's not what was being projected. It stopped at the one where you had the call PL and the Hiphil of the strong katal.
I'm tired of technology being stupid. All right, so let's get back to Maktin right here. Okay, now when I write, will you see it?
Yeah, I see.
That's writing.
Now. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I've been writing up a storm. Haven't you heard my pen going click click click?
Well, it took me a second to realize. I stepped out for a second, and then I was just trying to get caught up where we were.
Well, so the word katan or katon, okay, is the root here, just like gadol was higdil, gadol. Okay, so gadol. So now we have the word katan, which means we are going to make something small, make it smaller. So hiktin, he made it smaller, made X smaller, whatever X is. Hiktanti, I made it smaller. Hiktanta, hiktant, hiktin, and hiktina. This is an interesting use of the Hiphil because actually when you have a word like katon, small, or gadol, or shamen, all of these are adjectives, right? Adjectives. Katon is small. So if you have an adjective that becomes a Hiphil verb, it can actually mean become. It's a weird feature of the Hiphil that instead of making something small, it can actually also mean becoming smaller. So hiktanti could mean either I have become smaller or less important, less significant, kind of like John the Baptist when he says, the one who shall come after me is greater than me. And it's like hiktanti, I've become less, I've become small. Okay, this is another example is shamen, meaning fat. You can say hishmanti means I've gained weight, I've put on weight. And the opposite, razeh means thin. So hirzeti in the Hiphil can mean hirzeti means I've lost weight. I don't know why this is, but it's interesting.
Because the Hiphil is middle. The subject becomes affected in some way.
But this isn't Hiphil.
Oh, Hiphil.
It's Hiphil.
Sorry. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's something about
I'll
it,
think
like
my bad. Yeah, no, that made sense for never mind.
yeah.
Sorry.
There's also this one, like bari means healthy. You know bari?
Mm-hmm.
Bari
Like
is
the
healthy.
cows.
So the hifil lehavri hivra means he became, or hivri, excuse me, he became healthy.
Yeah.
Hivri, havra'a, to
I'm sure
become
there's a
healthy.
reason for it. It's just beyond me. But yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was thinking Hiphil, and I don't know why I thought this was Hiphil, but okay.
yeah. Well, so when there is, like I said, if it goes from an adjective into the hifil, the verb in the hifil, then it can take on the meaning of become. That's something that's not in the book. I don't think I ever learned that when I was learning Hebrew. It took me as a surprise whenever I came to it. Anyway, next. This is the opposite of hiktin. This is higdil. Higdil, higdalti. I made it bigger, or I became bigger. We see this is in Kohelet, remember, Colton? In Kohelet, where he said higdalti, and you're looking for an object saying, I've made something great.
Yep.
And it means I became great. I became greater than all those who were before me over Jerusalem. Higdalti in the Hiphil. You remember that? Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Igdalti, Igdalta, Igdalt. And I'm sure that it presented a problem for you when you first came across it.
Yeah.
Why did I say across?
Because I probably was looking for it to be transitive, like who did I make great? But then he's just
Right.
talking about himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. So Igdil, Igdila, Igdalnu, Igdaltem, Igdalten, and Igdilu. אני מגדיל, את מגדילה, אנחנו מגדילים, אתן מגדילות. Okay? Should hopefully it's catching on to your ear, the pattern, and just before we break it. Okay, so now we're going to break the pattern. If we have Ahmad, we would want the pattern to be he, mid. But we don't like this guttural like this. So what we do instead is we say he. He becomes he, and then this echoes that sound as an echo vowel. He amid. He amid means he caused something to stand up. Omed is standing. Ma'amid, causing to stand up. Omed, ma'amid. So who amid, he caused to stand, caused somebody to stand or to stop, to not move. Okay? He'emaditi, he'emadita, he'emadit, he'emid, he'emida. Why do I say d, t, and d? Because the d and the t make the same basic sound. They're both dentals. And to keep that tav alive, after a silent D, I want to pronounce that shva, even though it is reckoned as silent. So we should say, technically, he'emadda. But if you do that, you will lose one of those consonants, and they want to preserve them. So to preserve it, we pronounce the shva, and we say he'emadita. Okay, he'emadnu, he'emadtem, he'emadten, and he'emidu. Ma'amid, ma'amida, ma'amidim, ma'amidot. Okay? I hope this is making sense, that we have that problem with the guttural, and we resolve it by adding e instead of e, and then having an echo vowel. The same thing here. Achal means he ate, and he'echil means he fed. So again, we want he, chil. When we have this guttural there, this changes to e, and this has an echo vowel, he'echil. He'echil, he fed. He'echalti, I fed, האכלת, האכלת, האכיל, האכילה, האכלנו, האכלתם, האכלתן, and האכילו. מאכיל, מאכילה, מאכילים, מאכילות. All right. What happens when we have the guttural on this side? The aleph, third aleph, right? Third aleph, that's lamed aleph. It goes quiescent like bara. Bara, he created. Barati. So the syllable stays long with a aleph that doesn't count for anything. And then this is if it follows a vowel, so no dagesh. Okay? Hifleti. Hifli, we had this in the blessing that we said in the last session. Baruch atah Adonai, rofei chol basar, the healer of all flesh, umafli la'asot, umafli la'asot. This word lehafli, hifli, it has a supplementary infinitive. Supplementary or complementary infinitive. What it means is that after it, it takes a verb to do something, to eat, to help, to whatever. And the meaning of wonder, pele is a wonder or a miracle. So the meaning is almost adverbial to the infinitive. So the infinitive is the main verb in this case. Mafli la'asot means he does, la'asot, to do, and mafli, wonderful. He wonderfuls to do. He wonderfuls to do, meaning he performs wonders. Okay? Hifleti, hifleta, hiflet, hifli, hiflia, hiflenu, hifletem, hifleten, and hifliu. Okay, mafli, mafli'ah, mafli'im, mafli'ot. The verb is not so common, but it does happen. Okay. Now we have an issue with this root, gimel lamed yod. Okay, this root expresses itself in the kal. It expresses itself in the nifal, the passive of the kal. It expresses itself in the piel. It expresses itself in the pual, the passive of the piel. It expresses itself in the hifil. And it expresses itself in the hofal, the passive of the hifil. And it expresses itself in the hitpael. So what does this mean? That this root, gimel lamed yod, expresses itself in all of the binyanim. What is weird about it is that in the kal, the piel, and hufal, or the hifil, basically it has the same meaning most of the time. That's a little weird. So let's look at it. With these, this is a third yod, right? It's third yod, the root. With these third yod roots, the internal vowel here can be E or A. E or A. So higliti or higleti. Both are completely possible and fine. I tend to say with A, higleti. But you will find it in different roots, both ways. It doesn't matter. Even this form right here, higla, which seems to me perfectly normal, it will appear in the Bible also. Well, that's supposed to be a gimel. Ig. Okay, instead of higla, it appears as hegla. Higla, hegla. I have no idea why, but sometimes you find it as hegla instead of higla, and it means the same thing. Okay, so higla or hegla, higleti or higliti, higleta. We're gonna just go with one form. Higlet, higleta, higleta. She discovered or uncovered or revealed. There's a secondary meaning of this root that is related to the word for galut, which is the diaspora. diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
or exile, meaning that you're away from your homeland. Okay, so galut. So a secondary meaning of higleti, you could say that it means I uncovered, or in different contexts, I caused them to go into exile. And in that sense, the kal means to go into exile, and the Hiphil means to send into exile. Okay, so ani gole, I go into exile. Ani magle otam, I make them go. I send them into exile. Okay, higlenu or higlinu, higletem, higlitem, higletem, and iglu. Iglu, they caused them to go into exile, or they discovered or uncovered them. The participle magle, magla, maglim, maglot. This is fun. The same verb, the root, gimel lamed yod, in the different binyanim so far. Kal, piel, and hifil. Okay, kal, galiti, piel, giliti, and hifil, higleti. It's the same root. Galita can mean you uncovered or you went into exile. Gilita, this is the one that we use in modern Hebrew to mean you found something out. You uncovered it. You found it out. And then higleta, okay? Galit, gilit, higlet. I'm going sideways because I want you to feel how they really are related to each other. Galta, gilta, higleta. Galinu, gilinu, with that PL, E in the first syllable. Higlenu. Glitem, gilitem, higletem. Gliten, giliten, higleten. Galu, gilu, higlu. I know that's a lot of forms, and I don't know if this is a good way to teach verbs, but I think that comparing them can make it a little bit clearer. So I hope that's what's happening and that you're not being overwhelmed. But there's a lot of information in this chapter. And to cover it all, we got to throw it out on the screen. How are we doing on time? We are at 33 minutes past. Colton, am I giving you a headache?
No, you're good.
All right, good. This is what happens when you have a nun in the first position. This is pei nun or first nun. Okay, first nun. When you've got nagad, we would want to see hingid, but the hingid, the nun just drops over into this letter and disappears. So instead of hingid, we say higid. The nun assimilates. That should not surprise us too much. Higid, the nun is inside of that gimel. Okay, so higadati, I announced, I told. Higadata, higadet, higid, higida. Higadnu, higadtem, higadten, higidu. Magid, magida. Magidim, magidot. We have so many verbs in Hebrew that mean to say or to tell, that this one is normally used in the future, like yagid, hu yagid, and sometimes in the past, hu yigid lo, he told him, yigid lo. But the present tense is like the participle is very rare. It's not used so much, to the point that, I don't know if you're aware, but there was, in the story of Socrates, he liked to say that he had some kind of spiritual monitor, a spiritual monitor, a demon, that's what he called it, that would give him insight and challenge his thinking. And so there was a Jewish, I think it was Yosef Karo, was I think it was Yosef Karo, the one who wrote the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch is the basis of modern Jewish halakha, the rules that Jews live that they live by. So Yosef Karo said that he had a magid. Magid is like Socrates' daimon. It's a spirit that is giving him insight and helping him understand things. And I think it's Yosef Karo that said that he had a magid. We can look it up if anybody's interested, but I think that's the truth. Okay, now we have again the nun, and we have kaf and yod. Yod is our third letter that is interplaying with hey. Remember that yod, hey, and vav interplay a lot, and we're going to see that throughout the Hiphil. So we want to say hin, and then this hin ki, hin ka. Okay, we're going to see that the past tense like a and the future likes eh. Hin ka, but the nun assimilates, and instead of hin ka, we just say ka. Hika. The nun assimilates, just like in higid. So hika means he hit. He hit, he struck. Maybe he killed, he smoked. So the past could be hiketi or hikiti. I would prefer hikiti, and there's a reason. Because we also have the word kuf yod aleph, okay, that a noun, ki, means vomit. Vomit, like you clean up the vomit on the floor. And the Hiphil is he or he, ki. Heki. Heki is he puked. He vomited. And so to say that I puked, you say heketi. Heketi. I vomited. I puked. And so that has to have a sere. When you say heketi, heketi doesn't have a yod. Heketi, I vomited. So I want it to sound different. I don't want to say hiketi. I want to say hikiti. Hikiti, I struck, and heketi, I vomited. That provides a distinction in my ear. But in the Bible, you will hear hiketi, hiketa, hiket. Or you will hear hikiti, hikit, hikita. They're the same. When you have the e and e, it's variants, one of the other. And sometimes one author would tend to have this. I don't know how the Masoretes determined which one had what, but we have differences in the text. So hiketi, hiketa, hiket, hika, hikta, hikenu, hiketem, hiketen, and hiku. This is hit. Don't hit me. Okay, hit. Make, maka, makim, makot. That's the participle. This turned into a noun. A noun, maka, means a strike, a hit. It can mean a plague. One of the 10 plagues. The 10 plagues of Egypt are called Eser HaMakot. Eser HaMakot. The 10 plagues. Makot. This is, we just finished Passover, so it is relevant. Makot. Okay. Ooh, this one is going to be a little bit more difficult. This is first Yod. When Yod appears in the first position, Yod is normally a Vav, historically, in first position, Vav. It looks like Yod in the past, like Yashavti, I sat, Hu Yoshev, he is sitting. But it's actually a Vav, so it's like saying Haushiv. Haushiv, the ow in that diphthong, how becomes o, Hoshiv. Hoshiv. So Hoshiv is the Hiphil of Yashav. Hoshiv, he made someone sit, or he made them dwell. Hoshav,
It appears as though Jason is frozen again.
Oh.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm hating the internet tonight.
Yeah, it's rough tonight. Can you hear me?
I do hear you.
Cool.
I don't know what I missed.
Not much. It's just me saying, I think Jason froze again.
Well, let's get back into it because we've got 20 minutes and lots of material. Did you catch that the owl becomes O?
Yes.
So historically, it was Vav Shin Bet that we put attached a hey onto. And instead of E in front of this, it became A. And the Shin still took the E. Hoshiv became Hoshiv. So Hoshiv, Hoshavti. Hoshavti אותם בארץ זבת דבש, חלב ודבש. I seated them, I caused them to dwell in a land flowing with milk and honey. Hoshavta, Hoshavt, Hoshiv, Hoshiva, Hoshavnu, Hoshavtem, Hoshavten, and Hoshivu. Okay, Moshiv, Moshiva, Moshivim, Moshivot. This is used in modern Hebrew to talk about seating, like when you go to a restaurant. Someone seats you. They give you a seat. Moshivim otcha. Efo toshivu otanu. Where will you seat us? Where will you cause us to sit? But in the Bible, it's used mostly to have a people come into a land where they will dwell. Look at the difference between the Hiphil and the Kal, which is written as a G. Hoshavti, Yashavti. I dwelt. Hoshavta, Yashavta. Hoshav, Yashav. Hoshiv, Yashav. Hoshiva, Yashva. Hoshavnu, Yashavnu. Hoshavtem, Shavtem. Hoshavten, Yashavten. Hoshivu, Yashvu. Okay, that's the comparison. Now we get to an interesting one. This is middle week. Middle week is a root that has a vav or yod in the middle. Because it's weak, it drops out in the middle. Okay? Okay, so we want, this is our root, kum. We want hik vim. That's what we would want if we were putting the root together. Okay, the vav is weak, it drops out. And now this e is just hanging around out there and it joins itself to the kuf. Kim. Okay, so kum becomes kim. And now we have he sitting out here in an open syllable where the syllable was closed initially because it's hifil. It's a closed syllable. Now, in order to make up for the loss of that syllable closure, we're going to extend the length of that vowel and make it compensatory lengthening, and it becomes hekim. Hekim. Hekim and hekima are perfectly normal, perfectly like they follow this. And ekimu. Ekimu. So these are normal following this pattern. What we just said happens. So kum, get up, becomes hekim, he got someone up. He raised him up, he woke him up, something like that. Okay? So the participle mekim, mekima, mekimim, mekimot. But what happens in all the rest of the paradigm? What I've written here is exactly how we say it in modern Hebrew. Hekamti. Hekamti oto, I got him up. I helped him stand. Hekamti oto. Hekamta. Hekamt. Hekamno. Hakamtem. Hakamten. We won't say that in modern Hebrew. We're going to leave the stress there and say Hekamtem, but whatever. But what happens in the Bible is something interesting. We can have these forms that we use in modern Hebrew, which are almost standardized of Hakim. It feels normal. Or we can have a longer version that inserts an O before the suffix. For some reason, in the first and second person, singular and plural, they insert an O, and is much more common in the Bible to say Hakimoti, Hakimota, Hakimot, Hakimotem, Hakimoten, Hakimonu. They insert an O before the suffixes. So the same thing is going to happen when we have a verb like hevin. Hevin, this is understand, he understood. Okay, hevin, it's going to have the in and the O, T. Ha, this is long, it's distant syllable, so it becomes havinoti. Havinoti, I understand. Havinoti. Even though in modern Hebrew we say hevanti. Hevanti. Hevanti, havinoti. They are exactly the same meaning. You will more commonly find them in this long form in the biblical text, but you can also find them in the short form. That is fun. That O that's inserted makes it so pretty. Right? Colton is gone. I've lost Colton. He says, I will see you in 15 minutes. I need to drop for a minute. Okay. I missed that. I'm very sorry. Okay, so with that, we are going to just look at the vocabulary, and I'm going to label Kal with a G for the Grundsturm or whatever it's called, and the Hiphil with Hey, H for Hiphil. Okay, so G for Darash, we have to inquire or to demand, to seek, like Lidrosh et Adonai, to seek the Lord, to inquire of the Lord. Harag, harag, haragti, haragta, harag, harag, harga, haragnu, right? We can add these endings, darashti, darashta, darasht, darash, darsha, darashnu, drashtem, drashten, darshu. We can add the endings to create the tenses. Harag, to kill, means he killed. Yud tet bet. We said in the reading today, in the last hour, that this appears only in the Yiktol. It means to do well or please or suit or to be good. Because it's related to tov. But it's only in the Yiktol. It means it doesn't happen in the past tense. Past tense. It doesn't happen in the Katal. Only in the Yiktol, the future. Hitiv is normally the verb that's taken from this root. I put it here as a root because there is no past tense when you label verbs in the past. This is just a root that expresses itself in the Yiktol. It says Yetiv. Yetiv. It will be good, or you will do good, or something like that. Yeah, the meaning is kind of complex. All right. But normally, Hitiv, Yitav, excuse me, Yitav, it's in the, this is in the Kal, Yitav, Yitav, in the future. So, Yitiv is the future of this one, Hitiv. Okay? Hiphil means to make good or to treat someone well. Okay? Hoshia is from the root Yasha, Yasha. Remember that Yod initially was Vav, Shin, Ain. Okay, we had how Shia became Hoshia. Hoshia means he saved or delivered. Hoshia. Okay. Higid, we already went over from the root. Nun Gimel Dalet, to tell, announce, report. Nachal in the Kal means to inherit, to receive an inheritance. In the Hiphil, it's Hinchil, and it means to give an inheritance or assign an inheritance, to bequeath something. Okay, that is in Deuteronomy chapter 32. Very cool. When God gave the peoples as an inheritance. Okay, to plant, lintoa, nata. Nata. To plant. Natati, natata, natanu, we planted. Okay? This is Hiphil, Hika. The book wants you to learn naka or nacha in Hiphil. Naka is not a word. There is no kal of this root. Naka. We do have an adjective, nache, which means disabled, handicapped. Disabled is neche, or not nache, but neche. So handicapped people are nechim, not nachim, nechim. Sorry about that. Nechim. But that's not, there is no verb that is naka that becomes hifil. Like it's only hifil and ufal. Okay. Hitzil is from nun tzadi lamed. Hitzil is to save or to rescue. Latzil. Hitzalti oto. I saved him. Hitzalti. To cry out. Litzok. Sa'ak. Soek. Sa'akti. I cried out. I shouted. Rava. Rava is to become great. You can have it in the PL to increase or bring somebody up, and it's riba in the past. Riba. That's fun because in modern Hebrew, riba also means jelly, like strawberry jelly. Ribat tutim. Okay, and then in the Hiphil, hirba, to multiply or to increase. Hirba. They're all attached to this root that means many or great. Okay. Next we have shichet. Shichet is to ruin or destroy. The book is going to tell you shachat in the PL. We don't like saying shachat in the PL. We like to just say shichet. And then hishchit, the destroying angel, that is the angel of death, is the hamalach hamashchit, the one that kills. Hishlich is to throw. It's not shalach in the Hiphil. It is hishlich. It means he threw. Hishlachti. I threw. I tossed. I cast. They threw Jonah off the boat. Hishlichu oto mehaonia. Okay, shata, to drink. Shatiti. Shatita. Ani shatiti. Ani shote. Let me drink and demonstrate. So I'm demonstrating that ani shote. Shote, kol zero. Ani mahur, addicted. Mahur. I am addicted. Kol zero. Ani mahur lekol zero. Okay, so these are number one is a sentence from the exercises in lesson 16. So he says, Anochi higadeti vehoshati vehishmati. And there's an object to the verbs later on in the verse, but this is what we have. He says, I announced, and I delivered, I saved, and I caused to be heard. I made people hear. Shama. Shama. I hear. Shamati. Hishmati. Hishmati. Shama is heard, and hishmiya is make heard. We say this when we play music out loud. We mashmi'im musika. We make music heard. Ata higadeta vehoshata vehishmata. Okay, you see that the forms change for ata. Then in the third person, Adonai higid vehoshia vehishmiya. These are the same sentence with just different subjects. Verse number 5 in the exercises says, Atem hamitem et am Adonai. You killed the people of the Lord. You have put to death the Lord's people. If we change atem to the third person, we say hem. Hem hemitu et am Adonai. Hem hemitu et am Adonai. They put the Lord's people to death. And ata himata et am Adonai. Ata himata et am Adonai. You put the people of the Lord to death. So work on the exercises for Thursday. On Thursday, the 24th, that's this Thursday, we're going to meet at 6:30 to go over all of the homework from lesson 15. That's last week's lesson. And you will need to do this homework for the next week. Next Monday, we will meet to read David's story again. Continue in chapter 20. We're going to start in verse 15, I think. And then we will be teaching through lesson 17, which is the perfect with object suffixes. That is to say, he saw me and he helped me with object suffixes. Like I see her. The suffixes go on to the verb to say the object. Okay, and then on May 1st, we will meet on Thursday for lesson 16 homework review. Toda rabba al hakshava. Hakshava is from the adjective kashuv. Kashuv means attentive, like you pay attention. Kashuv. Ani kashuv. I am attentive. So hakshava is hikshiv. It's a Hiphil verb. Hikshiv means he paid attention or he listened. Hikshiv. So toda rabba al hakshava. Thank you very much for the attention and for listening. And that's what that means. We will meet again on Thursday and then following Monday for another round of this wonderful grammar. Thank you also, Muriel, for being at all of our lessons and everything we do. Our viewers, watchers, the people who participate are the lifeblood of this whole project. So please hit like and tell people to come and watch. Share Hebrew with the world. Help us to disseminate knowledge of the Hebrew language to all corners of the world for free, and to get people to know this wonderful language that you and I love. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.